Hello everyone, I hope you have performed well in your third UNVO test. In this section, we will be discussing the geography question of the test. So let's begin with our first question. The first question is question 42. Question 42, it says a seismograph is placed at a point on the earth's surface lying diametrically opposite to the epicenter of an earthquake as shown in the diagram below, right? So basically earthquake has occurred here, right? So this will be the focus, right above it, this will be the epicenter, and seismograph has been placed here exactly diametrically opposite. So this will be making angle of 180 degree from the epicenter, right? And the question is asking which of the following is correct with respect to the given condition. The seismograph will record S wave, P wave. So basically, first of all, this is a question from the topic geomorphology. Geomorphology, right? This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view. If you see, 1 to 2 questions are asked from this topic almost every year, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question, UPSC focuses upon 2 areas within this topic. The first is endogenic forces, and the second one is exogenic forces. And within endogenic, if you see the previous year question trends, UPSC puts a special emphasis on earthquake and volcano, right? And likewise in exogenic forces, UPSC puts special emphasis on weathering and erosion, right? So that's why a question based on earthquake has been put in your test here, right? And if you see, this particular question aims to test your knowledge of shadow zone, right? So this particular question is based on the concept of shadow zone. So first we will see the underlying concept and then we will come back to our question. So as you all know, the structure of earth is something like this. This is lithosphere, this is upper mantle, this is outer core, and this is inner core, right? So this outer core, this one is in liquid state, rest this and this is in solid state, right? And as you must be knowing, earthquake waves are of 2 types. First is body wave and second is surface wave, right? And there are 2 types of body waves. First is P wave and second is S wave, right? So our question is based on P wave and S wave only, right? So let's understand them in a bit detail. P wave is basically a longitudinal wave, so it can travel in solid, liquid as well as gas, right? On the other hand, S wave is transverse wave, so it can travel only in solid, not in liquid and gas, right? S wave cannot travel in liquid and gas, right? So based on this these behavior of P waves and S wave, there are some regions on the earth where some of these waves are not recorded, right? And those regions are called, let's say this is the region where some waves are not being recorded. So this particular region will be called shadow zone for that particular wave, right? And the question aims to test the knowledge regarding shadow zone only, right? So let's first understand the shadow zone with respect to both these waves, and then we will come back to our question. So let's say an earthquake occurs here, right? This is the focus of earthquake, and first let's see what is the condition, what is the situation regarding P waves, right? So earthquake occurs here and P waves start to travel from here in all the direction, right? So it will travel like this, and like this, right? Now as soon as P wave encounter the outer liquid core, right? Since P wave is a longitudinal wave and it can travel through liquid, right? So it will penetrate through this liquid outer core, but what happens that at this boundary, that is when it is entering from solid mantle to liquid outer core, it gets refracted, right? So it gets deviated from its path, right? Again when it is leaving the outer liquid core and again entering into mantle, it again gets deviated from its path, right? So that means the first P wave that will encounter the outer liquid core will actually travel in this path, right? So likewise in this direction also P wave will travel in all the direction, and P wave up to here will travel usually, but the first one which encounters the outer liquid core will actually travel like this, right? So that means a region from here to here on both the sides of earthquake will not be able to record P wave, right? P wave will be reaching from here to here and then from here to here, not in this zone, right? So these two zones are basically shadow zones for P waves, right? And based on observation, these two angles have been found to be 105, that is this angle is 105 and this angle is 145, right? In our case the seismograph is placed here, right? So that means seismograph is placed here, right? So P wave will be reaching here, P wave will be recorded by the seismograph. If the seismograph was placed here or here, P wave would not have been recorded by seismograph, right? But our seismograph is placed here, so P wave will be recorded by the seismograph, right? So this is the condition regarding P wave, right? Now let's see what happens to S wave. So again let's say an earthquake occurs, right? So S wave will start traveling in all the direction, something like this. S wave will travel up to here usually, right? But as soon as S wave encounters the outer liquid core, it cannot penetrate into liquid, right? Because it's a transverse wave, so it cannot travel within liquid, right? So that means it will stop here. Likewise this side also S wave will travel up to here, but as soon as it encounters the outer liquid core, it will stop here itself, right? So that means S wave will be recorded only in this region, right? This whole region will be shadow zone for S wave, right? And in our case the seismograph has been placed here, so this will not be recording S wave, right? So the correct answer here will be seismograph will record P wave but not S waves, right? So B is the correct answer here. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 43. Which of the following are likely to strengthen the southwest monsoon system in India, right? And then names of some jet streams are given: tropical easterly jet stream, Somali jet stream and westerly jet stream, right? And the question is asking which of them will actually strengthen southwest monsoon system in India, right? So first of all, this is a question from the topic climate of India. Climate of India. This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view, right? On an average you can expect at least one question from this topic every year, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question from this topic, UPSC focuses mostly on monsoon system, monsoon system, right? So that's why this question based on monsoon has been put in your test, right? And if you see, this question actually is testing the role of external factors that influence southwest monsoon system in India, right? So among the various external factors that has its effect on southwest monsoon system, there are three jet streams. They are tropical easterly jet stream, Somali jet stream and westerly jet stream that influence southwest monsoon system in India, right? So let's first see the underlying concept and then we will come back to our question. So this is our India, right? So first of all, let's understand what exactly is jet stream, right? So jet stream is nothing but a narrow band of fast moving wind in upper atmosphere, right? So it moves like jet in a narrow band in the upper atmosphere, right? That is what is called jet stream. And there are two permanent jet stream, that is subtropical jet stream, and the second one is polar front jet stream, right? So this one moves at around latitude of 30 degree in both north and south hemisphere, and this one moves at a latitude around 60 degree, right? And both these jet streams move from west to east, right? So they appear coming from west, right? So that's why this one, subtropical jet stream, is sometimes also called westerly jet stream. Westerly jet stream, right? And if you see in our question, one jet stream given is westerly jet stream only, right? So let's see how westerly jet stream flows and what is its impact on Indian monsoon system. So it flows at around latitude of 30 degree, something like this, right? This is how it flows in upper atmosphere, right? And as soon as it enters the Indian landmass, it encounters Himalaya here, right? So in the influence of due to obstruction by Himalaya, what happens that this jet stream gets bifurcated into two branches. One moves north of Himalaya and other moves south of Himalaya over the Indian landmass, right? So this one moves north of Himalaya over Tibetan Plateau, and this branch moves over Indian landmass, North Indian landmass, south of Himalaya, right? So this is our westerly jet stream. Westerly jet stream, right? So this is how westerly jet stream flows during the period of September to May, right? This is how it flows over India, right? So because of its presence over Indian landmass up to the month of May, a low pressure region on the ground does not get developed, right? So what happens that during the month of April and May, the Indian landmass, at least in northern India, gets sufficiently heated, right? So ideally a low pressure situation should have got created in April and May itself, right? But since there is presence of this westerly jet stream in the upper atmosphere, this hinders the creation of low pressure region on the ground. Why? Because from this upper moving jet stream, air subsides on the ground, right? So this jet stream is flowing in the upper atmosphere. From there, air keeps on subsiding at the ground level, right? So this subsiding air does not let low pressure get created in northern India during April-May, right? Despite being sufficient heat, right? But what happens that towards the end of May or by 1st of June, right? This branch of westerly jet stream withdraws itself from over India, right? So this branch gets cut off, basically withdrawn from over India, and this jet stream remains confined only to this branch only, right? So as soon as this branch withdraws from over India, right, now this subsiding air is gone, right? So all of a sudden a high low pressure zone gets created all over North India, right? And that's the low pressure which attracts the southwest monsoon in this direction, right? So that means a strong westerly jet stream will actually weaken the southwest monsoon, not strengthen it, right? Southwest monsoon is coming to India only after this westerly jet stream has withdrawn from over India, right? So that means a strong westerly jet stream will not strengthen, rather weaken the southwest monsoon, right? Now let's see what is this tropical easterly jet stream, right? So this is the Tibetan Plateau region. It is located something like this, right? So this is completely a rocky region, right? So during the summer months, what happens that this plateau gets sufficiently heated, right? And because of that, air from this plateau rises up in the atmosphere, right? So air gets heated and then rises above the plateau. So because of rising air, a high pressure zone gets created over Tibetan plateau in the summer month, right? Then from this high pressure zone, air starts to move towards Indian Ocean region, right? Something like this. But then Coriolis effect comes in, right? And this air gets deflected something like this. So it does not move in a straight line, rather in a curvilinear path, something like this, right? And this is what is known as tropical easterly jet stream, right? So this air which is moving from Tibetan plateau in upper atmosphere towards Indian Ocean region is what is known as tropical easterly jet stream, right? And this jet stream moves in this path up to this region, right, near Madagascar and Mauritius, and then the air from this jet stream subsides to the oceanic level, right? This is moving in upper atmosphere, it reaches up to here, then from here air subsides to the oceanic level, right? So because of subsidence of air from this jet stream, this region gets high pressure, right? There is already high pressure in this region during the summer month. Because of subsidence of air from this jet stream, this high pressure region in this high pressure basically in this region gets strengthened, right? So because of this strengthened high pressure, the southwest monsoon that is moving in this direction gets a push, right? Because high pressure has increased in this region, so it will give a greater push to the southwest monsoon. So because of this, the southwest monsoon moves a little faster, right? And this is what causes onset of monsoon in India, onset of monsoon, right? So that means if tropical easterly jet stream is stronger, it will create a stronger high pressure and it will give a stronger push to southwest monsoon, so it will strengthen the southwest monsoon, right? So that means this one is correct. A strong tropical easterly jet stream will actually strengthen the southwest monsoon. Now let's see the remaining second one here listed, basically strong Somali jet stream, right? So let's see what exactly it is. So Somali jet stream is again a jet stream that moves at altitude of around 2 to 3 kilometer. It does not move at a very great height, it just moves at around 2 to 3 kilometer height only, right? So from here there is high pressure zone in the summer month in this region, right? So from here air starts moving towards this in the upper atmosphere. After crossing the equator, it takes a bend like this, right? And it then moves towards western coast, right? And this is all these are happening in upper atmosphere. So this appears to be coming from, this is Somali coast, if you know, this is Somali coast, Somalia. So this appears to be coming from Somali coast, so that's why this is known as Somali jet stream, Somali jet stream, right? So this jet stream that is moving from Somali coast towards western coast of India actually helps the southwest monsoon that is moving on oceanic surface level reach towards India, right? So that means a strong Somali jet stream will actually strengthen the southwest monsoon system. So that means 2 is correct, right? Only third is incorrect. So the correct answer here will be A, 1 and 2 only, right? Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 44. In the context of soil degradation, consider the following information. Some types of soil degradation is given and its cause and treatment is given, right? So first of all, it's a question from the topic agriculture, right? This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view. You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic almost every year, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question, right, recently UPSC has been focusing on sustainable agriculture. Within this topic, agriculture, right, within this topic UPSC is putting a special emphasis upon this sustainable agriculture topic, right? So that's why a question based on soil degradation has been put in your test. Soil degradation is also a topic that is related to sustainable agriculture, right? So let's read the given types one by one. The first one is soil salinization. Soil salinization. So as it is clear from the name itself, soil salinization is basically increase in salinity of soil, right? So when the concentration of saline material increases in the soil becomes saline, and that is called soil salinization, right? So soil salinization occurs naturally, right? So what happens that salt leaches from the parent material that is lying in and around the soil and gets added to the soil, right? So that is one natural cause of soil salinization. But apart from that, one of the most prominent man-made cause of soil salinization is excessive irrigation, right? So what happens that when we irrigate a soil, we are adding water from external source to the soil, right? So that irrigation water brings along with it some salt that gets added to the soil, right? So when this irrigation is balanced, right, the salt that is added to the soil through irrigation water gets used by plant and the soil, right? But when the irrigation is excessive salt comes to the soil and that gets accumulated over the soil, right? Because all of them does not get used by plant and soil, so some gets accumulated over soil, and that's how soil salinization occurs. So excessive irrigation is one of the most prominent man-made cause of soil salinization, right? So this is correct. Now coming on to its treatment, adding gypsum to the soil, this is correct, right? Gypsum is basically CaSO4 2H2O. So it is basically a calcium sulfate, right? So when we add gypsum to the soil, what happens that it performs certain reaction, right, and actually binds with the salt ions, right, and that the new material that is formed by the reaction is actually soluble in the water, right, that gets dissolved in the water and then moves along with the running water, right. So adding gypsum to the soil is the correct treatment for soil salinization. That means first row is correctly matched, right. Now let's see the second row, soil acidification. So soil acidification is basically accumulation of acid in the soil, right. So pH of the soil decreases because of increased concentration of acidic material in the soil. So there are two prominent causes of soil acidification. First of them is excessive use of nitrogen based fertilizers, right? When we make excessive use of nitrogen based fertilizer, what happens that when we add nitrogen based fertilizer to the soil, it first gets converted into nitrate, right? Because plants cannot use nitrogen directly, they have to be first converted into nitrate, right? So this process of conversion from nitrogen to nitrate actually releases H plus ion, right? So that means concentration of H plus ion in the soil increases, right? So this makes soil acidic. So this is the most prominent cause of soil acidification. Apart from that, buildup of organic matter is also a prominent cause of soil acidification, right? How? When there is buildup of organic matter, what happens that when this organic matter decomposes, right, its decomposition, the process of its decomposition actually releases CO2 gas, right? This CO2 gas then combines with H2O and forms carbonic acid, right? And this is acidic, so this makes the soil acidic. So this is also a prominent cause of soil acidification, right? Now coming on to its treatment, adding lime to the soil, this is correct. Lime is basically CaO, calcium oxide, and it is an alkaline material. So when you add an alkaline material to the acidic soil, it will react with the acid of the soil and neutralize that acid, right? So it will help in treatment of acidic soil. So this is also correct. So that means second row is also correctly matched. Now let's see the third one. Third one is soil alkalinization. So soil alkalinization is basically build up in alkaline concentration. So that means pH of the soil will increase, right? And the prominent reason for soil alkalinization is increased aridity, right? So what happens that, let's say this is a soil surface, right, and it is facing arid condition. Arid condition means temperature is very high outside, right? So because of this high temperature, what happens that osmotic pressure in the pores of soil gets increased, right? So because of that, carbonates and bicarbonates leachage upward, right? Pores get open and there is high osmotic pressure from below the surface to the surface level, right? So because of that, carbonates gets leached upward, right, and they come to the soil surface and gets accumulated, and these carbonates are basically alkaline, so they make the soil alkaline. So this is one prominent reason of soil alkalinization, increased aridity, right? Coming on to its treatment, adding ammonia to the soil, right? This is not correct. Ammonia itself is alkaline. Ammonia is an alkaline material. So if you add an alkaline material to already alkaline soil, it will further increase the pH, right? So this cannot be a treatment, right? In fact, for treating alkaline soil, there are two prominent treatments for alkaline soil. First is proper irrigation. So when you do proper irrigation, it will take away the effect of aridity, right? And this leaching of carbonates upward will stop. So it will automatically treat the alkaline soil, right? Now second method is, second actually treatment that helps treat the alkaline soil is adding gypsum, right? So when you add gypsum to the soil, it also helps in treating alkaline soil, right? So that means third is not correctly matched, first two is correctly matched. So the correct answer here is B, only 2, right? Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 45. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, coral reefs are generally absent, right? So first of all, this is a question from the topic Oceanography. Oceanography. This is an important topic from prelims exam point of view, right? You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic every year, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question, UPSC focuses on areas like ocean current or ocean resources, right? So that's why a question based on coral reef has been put in your test, right? So let's read the question. First statement says coral reefs are generally absent on western coast of continents, right? This is a correct statement. Let's see how. So this is the map, world map showing presence of coral reefs across the world, right? So the red thing that you see are actually coral reefs, right? And if you see, all the major coral reefs are actually located on the eastern side of continent, right? Here also you can see, here also you can see, all these are located on the eastern side of continent, right? If you see the western side of continent, coral reefs are mostly absent or present in very restricted form, right? So this is what this statement is saying. Coral reefs are generally absent on the western coast of continents. This is a correct fact, right? So what is the reason behind such a behavior? Let's see the reason and then we will come back to our question. So what happens that on the western side, if you see western coast of continent, there is presence of cold ocean current, right? So for example, if you see, there is California current moving here, California current, right? Likewise, there is Peru current moving here, there is Benguela current here, Benguela current, then there is Somali current here, likewise here there is West Australian current, all these are cold current, right? So cold current means they are moving from polar region towards equator, right? So what they do, they actually bring the cold water from polar region towards the western coast of continent, right? So because of coming of cold water through this current, the temperature on the western coast of continents decreases, right? Now as you know, coral reefs are very temperature sensitive organism, right? They thrive only in a very narrow temperature range of 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, right? If temperature falls below 20 degree, they cannot thrive, and if temperature rises above 30 degree, again they cannot thrive, right? So because of the presence of cold current on the western coast of continents, temperature goes below 20 degrees Celsius, and that's the reason coral reef does not grow on the western coast of continents, right? So the second statement here, generally cold ocean currents flow along the western coast of continents. This is a correct statement and this explains statement 1, right? Now let's read the third statement. Western coast of continents witness upwelling of water. This is also a correct statement. Let's see how. So what happens that on the western coast of continents, there generally is offshore winds. Offshore winds means winds that is moving from land toward ocean, right? So generally offshore winds are present along the western coast of continent. So what these offshore winds do, let's say offshore wind is moving here. So this wind will actually displace the surface water near the coast and it will move it along with it and it will basically take away from the coast, right? So because of this displacement of surface water, a void is created near the coast, right? And in order to fill that void, water from below the surface moves upward, right, and text its place. Right? So this is what is called upwelling. This process is called upwelling, right? Upwelling means water from below the surface is moving upward to replace the surface water, right? Now water that is coming from below the surface is relatively colder as compared to the surface water, right? So because of upwelling, what happens that the warmer surface water is replaced by the colder lower water, right? So because of upwelling, temperature will decrease, right? So this again is a prominent factor which does not let coral reefs grow on the western coast, right? And this is what this third statement is saying: western coast of continents witness upwelling of water. So this is a correct, and this also explains statement 1, right? So that means A is the correct answer. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1, right? Now let's see the next question, that is question 46, with reference to the natural vegetation of India. So this is a question from the topic natural vegetation of India. This is also an important topic from prelims exam point of view. On and off, one question is asked from this topic every year, right? So if you see the trend of previous year question from this topic, UPSC puts emphasis on types of forest, their area of prevalence, and prominent trees in each type of forest, right? So that's why a question based on tree and its type has been put in your test, right? So let's read the trees that are given here. First one is chinar, right? So first of all, you should know that chinar was in news because Jammu and Kashmir government has launched an initiative called Tree Aadhaar for preservation of chinar tree, right? So chinar, now the type given here is tropical evergreen. This is not correct. Chinar is basically a deciduous type of tree. I think most of you must have seen the images of chinar, right, which shows the red crimson colored leaves of chinar falling down, right? In case you have not seen, this is the chinar tree, and its leaves are basically crimson red or golden colored, and you can see that its leaves are fallen on the ground, right? So that means chinar trees have to shed their leaves, right? So they cannot be evergreen, right? They have to be deciduous only, right? Second one, sandalwood. Sandalwood is tropical deciduous forest. This is correct. Tropical deciduous forests are found in the area having rainfall 100 to 200 centimeter, right? And some of the prominent trees that are found in tropical deciduous forest are sal, sesame, teak, right? Sandalwood is there. Then there are some other trees that are found in this tropical deciduous forest like amla. Amla is also a tropical deciduous type of tree. Then mahua, etc., right? So you should know some of the prominent trees that are found in each type of forest. So this one is correctly matched. Now the third one given here is neem, right? And this is the type given is tropical semi evergreen. This is not correct. Neem is a very well known tropical thorn forest, thorn type of tree, right? So these tropical thorn forests are found in the area having rainfall less than 50 centimeter, and some of the prominent trees that are found in tropical thorn type of forest are palas, babool, then neem is there, then you can say dead palm, etc. These are some prominent trees that are found in tropical thorn forest. So third is also not correctly matched, first is not correctly matched, only second is correctly matched. So correct answer here is A, only one pair, right? Now let's move on to our next question, that is question 47. It says consider the following information. In one column river island is given, state, associated river, right? So this will lie in the topic drainage system of India. Drainage system of India, right? This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view. You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic almost every year, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question, UPSC focuses upon 2-3 things in this topic: major rivers and its tributaries, and any geographical features that are associated with those rivers. So that's why a question based on river island has been put in your test, right? Let's see them one by one. First is Hope Island, right? It is located in Andhra Pradesh. This is correct, and it has been created by river Godavari, right? So if you see it on map, let's say this is the map of peninsular India. So Kakinada coast, that is located in Andhra Pradesh, is located somewhere here, and this Hope Island is located slightly off the coast of Kakinada, right? It lies in the region of Bay of Bengal. So because of its presence off the coast, it is not exactly a river island, but it has been created by the sediments brought by Godavari river. Godavari river, this is correct, and it lies in Andhra Pradesh, right? So that means first row is correctly matched. Now let's see the second one, that is Umananda Island. It is located in Assam. This is correct, and it is created by Subansiri. This is not correct. This has been created by Brahmaputra river. Brahmaputra river, not Subansiri river, right? And there is one unique fact about this Umananda Island, that is it is world's smallest inhabited river island, right? Umananda Island is world's smallest inhabited river island, right? And related to Umananda and Assam, there is one more island that is very famous, that is Majuli Island. Majuli Island. This is also located in Assam, and this is famous because this is world's largest river island, right? And this island has been formed by Brahmaputra on one side and Subansiri on other side, right? So this island has been formed by two rivers. Umananda has been formed by Brahmaputra alone, right? So that means second is not correctly matched. Third one given here is Srirangapatna Island, right? State given is Tamil Nadu. This is not correct. Srirangapatna Island is located in Karnataka. Karnataka. It is a very famous island town in Karnataka, and it has been created by Kaveri river. This is correct. So that means third row is also not correctly matched. So the correct answer here will be only 1, right? So the learning that you should draw from this question is that along with studying the major rivers, you have to also study some important geographical features that have been created by those rivers, right? So now let's move on to the next question, that is question 48. It says below is a map of the world with 4 areas labeled 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So a map is given and on this map 4 areas are given 1, 2, 3 and 4. Which of the above areas is most likely to witness 3 clearly distinguishable seasons with a concentration of heavy rainfall in summer, right? So first of all, this is a question from the topic climatology. Climatology. This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view, right? You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic every year. And if you analyze the trend of previous year question that has been asked from this topic, one area has been consistent, that is biome, right? One question is generally asked from this topic, biome, right? So that's why this question based on the concept of biome has been put in your test. Now the question is saying which of the above areas is most likely to witness 3 clearly distinguishable seasons with a concentration of heavy rainfall in summer, right? So these two characteristics, if you see, these two are typical characteristic of tropical monsoon season, tropical monsoon climate, right? Among all the climatic regions present in the world, only tropical monsoon climate has 3 clearly distinguishable seasons and concentration of heavy rainfall in summer, right? No other climatic region in the world has 3 clearly distinguishable seasons, right? So just by reading the question, you should have gotten the idea that this is about tropical monsoonal climate biome, right? So as it is clear from the name itself, tropical monsoon climate has to be lying in the tropical region, right? It has to lie in the tropical region, right? And in the given map, if you see, these two areas will lie on equator. Equator will be lying somewhere here, right? So that means area 2 and area 3 will be lying on equator. So in that case, these two areas will be having equatorial climate, equatorial climate, right? And equatorial climate is known for having uniform temperature throughout the year as well as uniform rainfall throughout the year. So they cannot have 3 clearly distinguishable seasons, right? So that means 2 and 3 are wrong, they cannot be the answer, right? Now if you see, the tropic will lie somewhere here. So tropic will lie something like this. This will be Tropic of Cancer and this will be Tropic of Capricorn, right? And if you see, this area 1 is lying much beyond tropic, right? So this cannot be in tropical monsoon climatic zone, right? In fact, if you see the map, this area 1 will have basically British type climate, British type climate, not tropical monsoon climate. So there is only one area left, area 1 is also not correct. There is only one area left, that is 4, that is lying in tropical region, that will have tropical monsoon climate, right? So the correct answer here is D, area 4. Now let us move on to our next question, that is question 86. It says it is an island, the coastline of which is roughly equal to Earth's circumference at equator. To its west lie Baffin Bay and Davis Strait, and to its northwest a narrow body of water separates the island from a Canadian territory, right? Which island is being described in the above passage, right? So it is a very easy question actually. Its correct answer is B, Greenland, right? This Greenland has been in news because Mr. Trump, the current US president, Mr. Trump has been pitching to acquire Greenland and incorporate it in the US territory, and that's why this Greenland has been in news in the recent past, right? So you can expect a question based on the geography of Greenland, right? So that's why this question has been put in your test, right? Now let's see the geography of Greenland in detail and we will come back to our question. This is Greenland, right? And currently it is administered by Denmark, that means it's a territory of Denmark, right? And if you see towards the west of Greenland, here this water body is known as Baffin Bay, right? And this one is known as Davis Strait, right? So Baffin Bay and Davis Strait are located towards the west of Greenland, right? And if you see in the north or northwestern side, this island is basically a Canadian territory. This whole area is Canadian territory, and this particular island is known as Ellesmere Island. Ellesmere Island, right? And this is separated from Greenland only by a narrow passage of water, right? So this is what the question is saying. It is an island, the coastline of which is roughly equal. This is one interesting fact about Greenland actually. Greenland is the largest island of the world. Largest island, right? And the length of its coastline is equal to the circumference of Earth at the equator, right? So this particular fact has been used in the question, but even if you didn't know this fact, you could have used this knowledge. To its west lie Baffin Bay and Davis Strait. So these two water bodies are famous. Labrador Current passes through these two water bodies only, right? So to its west lie Baffin Bay and Davis Strait, and to its northwest a narrow body of water separates the island from a Canadian territory, right? So the correct answer here is Greenland. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 88. It says, consider the following statements. The list of rare earth elements is universal across the world, right? So first of all, this is a question from the topic distribution of resources. Distribution of resources. This is a very important topic from prelims exam point of view. 1 to 2 questions are asked from this topic almost every year, and if you analyze the trend of previous year questions that have been asked from this topic, UPSC has been focusing on critical minerals and related concept in the recent past. So that's why this question based on the knowledge of critical minerals has been put in your test. So the first statement says the list of rare earth elements is universal across the world. This is correct. So there are two concepts. First is critical mineral and second is rare earth elements. These two are often used together. If you read any article or news related to critical mineral, you are likely to see rare earth element as well, right, in those articles, but they are not exactly the same thing, right? Rare earth elements are basically a group of 17 metallic element, right? A group of 17 metallic element is called rare earth element, right? So out of these 17 metallic elements, 15 are lanthanides. That is, if you see the periodic table, there are two rows on the bottom. The first row is called lanthanide, right? So out of 17 rare earth elements, the 15 are lanthanides only, and there are two more. First is yttrium and one more is scandium. So this group of 17 elements have been categorized as rare earth elements, right? And this is accepted universally. Second statement says the list of critical minerals varies from one region to another. This is correct, right? So while the list of rare earth elements is accepted universally across the world, the list of critical minerals is not fixed, right? So how a critical mineral is decided? So let's say there is a country, right? It assesses its strategic importance. So let's say with respect to India, so India will assess strategic importance of a mineral and also the availability of that mineral in the country. So based on these two parameters, any country categorizes any mineral as critical mineral, right? So that means the list of critical mineral will depend upon country. It will vary from one country to another, right? So any mineral can be a critical mineral for India but not for US, right? That means the list of critical minerals varies from one region to another. This is also correct. So which of the statements given above are correct? So both 1 and 2 are correct here. C is the correct answer. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 90. Which of the following are likely consequence if the earth stops rotating on its axis but continues to revolve around the sun, right? So as we all know that, let's say this is sun, this is our earth. So as we all know, our earth rotates on its axis, right, counterclockwise, that is from west to east, and also it revolves around the sun, right? So the question is saying, suppose a condition occurs where earth stops rotating, that means this rotation is stopped but the earth continues to revolve around the sun, this revolution is on, right? So what will be the consequence of such a condition? Let's read them one by one. First is sudden change in wind direction. This is correct. How? You all must have heard about Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect. What is Coriolis effect? Coriolis effect basically deflects any moving fluid towards right in the southern hemisphere and towards left in the towards right in the northern hemisphere and towards left in the southern hemisphere, right? Coriolis effect is called same. So this Coriolis effect is actually occurs because of rotation of earth. It is the rotation of earth only that causes Coriolis effect, right? If the rotation of earth is stopped, this Coriolis effect will be gone, right? So that means this deflection towards right and left will be gone, right? So that means the winds will change direction because there is no deflection now. So all of a sudden there will be change in wind direction, right? So first is correct. Now the second one, massive floods in polar regions. This is also correct. Let's see how. So let's say this is our earth, right? And if earth was not rotating, let's say this is the distribution of water across the earth. So it would have been distributed equally across the earth's surface. But in reality, earth is rotating, right? So because of this rotation, there is an outward centrifugal force. Centrifugal force, right? So because this centrifugal force is maximum at the equator and lowest at the pole, right? The amount of centrifugal force actually depends on the distance from the axis of rotation. So it is maximum at the equator and lowest at the pole, because at the pole lies on the axis itself, right? So what happens that because of high centrifugal force on equator, this water near equator gets a bulge, basically it rises upwards, right? And in order to compensate for this bulge, water at other surfaces, particularly near the pole, goes downwards. So the actual distribution of water along Earth's surface is something like this. There are two bulges on the equator, and on the pole water height is relatively lower, right? Now if the Earth's rotation is stopped, right, this centrifugal force will be gone, right? So that means this bulge will go down. So the water near equator will come to this height, it will go down. So the excess water near the equator will be pushed towards equator. So towards the pole, right? Excess water from the equator will be pushed towards the pole. So at pole, what will happen? The water will rise in the height, right? So polar regions will actually get excess water that is contained there right now. So those excess water will actually result in massive floods in polar regions, right? This is what it is saying. So this is correct. Now extreme temperature, third one is saying extreme temperature. This is also correct. Let's see how. So currently what happens that because of earth rotation, any point or any face on the earth gets to face the sun. So let's say this is one side of the earth, so it gets to face the sun and then also moves away from the sun in the same day, right? In a single day, earth is completing one rotation, right? So one side, any one side on the earth is getting to face the sun and also moving away from the sun, right? But if this rotation is stopped, what will happen? That the face that is facing the sun, the side of earth that is facing the sun, will stay facing the sun for a long time, because now this is not rotating, this rotation is gone, right? It will keep facing the sun until, because of revolution, this face actually goes away from the sun. So let's say earth revolves and reaches up to here, such that this face, this side of the earth that is facing the sun, actually goes this side. So now this is no longer facing. So this will keep facing the sun for a long period of time. On the other hand, the second side of earth, that is this one, that is away from the sun, will actually staying away from the sun for a long period of time, right? So that means one side of the earth will be getting heated, its temperature will keep on increasing, and the other side will be getting cooled and its temperature will be continuously decreasing. So because of this thing, there will be extreme temperature on the two sides of earth. So that's why third is also correct. So the correct answer here is D, 1, 2 and 3, right? Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 91. Consider the following information: name of lake, region and feeds to, right? So name of some lakes are given and the region they lie in given is are given, and the rivers that these lakes are feeding are also given, right? So we have to see which of them are correctly matched, right? So let's read them one by one. First one is Pangong Tsaw, right? So Pangong Tsaw was in news recently because Indian Army has recently unveiled a statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji near Pangong Tsaw, right? So that's how this lake becomes important, and that's why a question based on these lakes have been put in your test, right? In fact, all these three lakes were in news recently. So Pangong Tsaw lies on India-China border, India-China. 60% of the lake lies in China and 40% of the lake lies in India, Indian Ladakh region, right? So the region given here, Asia, is correct, right? Feeds to Syok River, this is not correct, right? This Pangong Tsaw lake is not a part of Indus River basin, right? It earlier used to feed Syok River, but because of natural damming, a barrier got created between this lake and Syok River, and now it no longer feeds to Syok River. So this is not correct. That means first is not correctly matched. The second lake given here is Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria was also in the news because this lake is turning green, right? And a study was conducted to actually find out the reason for its turning green, and the study found that it is turning green because of increased presence of cyanobacteria, right? Increased presence of cyanobacteria is what is making the Lake Victoria turn green. And the same study also pointed out that the same thing can happen to Lake Erie if the global warming continues. So that's why these two lakes have been in news, right? This Lake Victoria is located in Africa. This is correct. In fact, it is the largest lake of Africa. Lake Victoria is the largest lake of Africa, right? And this Lake Victoria feeds to White Nile River. This is also correct. This White Nile River is one of the principal stream of Nile River. This Nile River is located in Africa and it is the longest river of the world, you must be knowing. And this Nile River is made up of three principal streams. First is White Nile, second is Blue Nile, and third is Atbara, right? So this White Nile is basically a principal stream of Nile River, and it is fed by Lake Victoria. So second is correctly matched. The third one, Lake Erie. Lake Erie is located on US-Canada border, right? And in fact, it is one of the 5 Great Lakes of America. Great Lakes of America. Great Lakes of America is basically a group of 5 lakes that lie across US and Canada, and Lake Erie is one of the 5 lakes, right? So Lake Erie is located in North America, this is correct, and it feeds to Niagara River, right? Niagara River is very famous because of Niagara Falls, right? And this river is fed by Lake Erie, this is correct. So that means the correct answer here is only 2. First is not correctly matched, rest 2 are correctly matched. Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 92. It says consider the following minerals: barytes, feldspar, mica, quartz. How many of the above are officially designated as major minerals in India, right? So the correct answer here is all 4, right? All of them have been in fact recently categorized as major minerals. Major minerals, right? They all actually used to be minor minerals till now, and Ministry of Mines has recently only categorized them as major minerals, right? So this is a news based question. You must be knowing all the minerals that have been in news, right? And the reason for their categorization is as major minerals is basically linked to critical minerals. Critical minerals, right? So what happens that these minerals are found in a rock which is called pegmatite rock. Pegmatite rocks, right? And these rocks also contain some critical minerals. Critical minerals. But since these minerals were categorized as minor minerals till now, so the lease holders or the owners of these mines were actually not focusing on exploration of these associated critical minerals, right? So that means these associated critical minerals were getting wasted, right? And that's the reason central government categorized them as major minerals, right? So they have been shifted from the category of minor mineral to major mineral. Now the critical minerals that are associated with these rocks or these mines will be explored with a special focus, right? So now let's move on to the next question, that is question 93. It says in the context of physiography of India. So physiography again is a very important topic in Indian geography. 1 to 2 questions are asked from this topic almost every year, right? So let's read the given statement. Consider the following statement. Raj Mahal Hills are an extension of Central Highland. So name of some hills and plateaus are given, right? And if you analyze the trend of previous year question from this topic physiography, UPSC focuses especially on hills and plateaus, right? Major hills and plateaus of India, and that's why this question based on the knowledge of hills and plateaus have been put in your test, right? So the first statement says Raj Mahal Hills are an extension of Central Highland. This is a correct statement. Let's see them on map in order to understand it better. So this peninsular plateau can be broadly divided into 3 parts. The first is something like this. This is called Central Highlands. Central Highlands. The second part is called Deccan Plateau. Deccan plateau, and the third part is called northeastern plateau. Northeastern plateau, right? So these three are the constituent of peninsular plateau, and this central highland, if you see, is bounded on the west side by Aravalli Hills. This is Aravalli Hills. On the south, they are bounded by Satpura mountain. This is Satpura mountain, right? And on the eastern side, they are bounded by Raj Mahal Hills. Raj Mahal Hills. And these Raj Mahal Hills are in fact considered an extension of Central Highland, right? So this is a basic fact that is mentioned in your NCERT book. So that means this statement is correct. Raj Mahal Hills are an extension of Central Highland. This is correct statement. Second statement says Karbi Anglong Hills are an extension of Meghalaya Plateau. This is also a correct statement. So this northeastern plateau, if you see, is made up of two constituents. The first is called Meghalaya Plateau. Meghalaya Plateau, and an extension of Meghalaya Plateau is Karbi Anglong Plateau. Karbi Anglong Plateau is located in Assam. Karbi Anglong Hills is a part of Karbi Anglong Plateau itself. So this Karbi Anglong Hills and plateaus are considered an extension of Meghalaya Plateau itself, and these two together constitute the northeastern plateau, right? So that means the second statement is also correct. Karbi Anglong Hills are an extension of Meghalaya Plateau. The third statement given here is Gavilgarh Hills are an extension of Hazaribagh Plateau. This is not correct. If you see, Gavilgarh Hills are located somewhere here, right? They are spread over Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. This is Gavilgarh Hills. And Hazaribagh Plateau, if you see, is located here, Hazaribagh Plateau. This is located completely in Jharkhand, and it forms a part of Chota Nagpur Plateau, right? So these Gavilgarh Hills cannot be an extension of Hazaribagh Plateau. They are actually located very far from each other, right? So even if you had an idea about the locations of these hills and plateaus, you could have easily approached this question, right? So though they appear very tough at the outset, they are actually not. You only need to have an idea about the placement of major hills and plateaus, and you will be able to approach these questions very easily, right? So that means first two statements are correct while third is not correct. So the correct answer here is A, 1 and 2 only, right? Now let's move on to the next question, that is question 94. It says consider the following statements regarding Antarctic circumpolar current seen in the news recently, right? So Antarctic circumpolar current were in news because a study found that these are slowing down because the melting of Antarctic ice, right? So unchecked melting of Antarctic ice is making this Antarctic circumpolar current slow down, and that's why they were in news, right? Now some statements are given regarding these currents. The first one says it represents the world's largest ocean current system. This is correct, right? So let's first see what exactly is Antarctic circumpolar current, and then we will come back to our question. So this is the Antarctica region, right? And the Antarctic circumpolar current is a current that flows encircling the Antarctica. This is what is Antarctic circumpolar current, right? And this particular current is the world's biggest ocean current system, right? So that means first statement is correct. Second statement, it connects all three main basins of the global ocean. This is also correct. right? So as you can see, it encircles across Antarctica. So it goes through Atlantic Ocean, right, Indian Ocean, as well as Pacific Ocean. So that means it connects all three main ocean basins of the world, right? And that's why it actually integrates the major climate signals across the world, because it is connecting all the three major global basins, right? The third statement says it has been bringing some invasive alien species into the Antarctic region. This is not correct. In fact, it is exactly opposite. This Antarctic circumpolar current actually forms a natural boundary across Antarctica, right? And this natural boundary prevents any invasive alien species from entering into Antarctica region, right? But because these currents are slowing down, scientists are apprehending that because of slowing down of this current, invasive alien species will now be able to enter into Antarctica, right? So this current as such does not bring invasive alien species. This in fact prevents them from entering into Antarctica. So the third statement is not correct. First two is correct. The correct answer here is A, 1 and 2 only, right? Now let's see the next question, that is question 95. Consider the following statements regarding tropical cyclones, right? So this is a question from the topic climatology, right? So as we have discussed just now, climatology is a very important topic from exam point of view, right? On an average 1 to 2 questions are asked from this topic, right? And tropical cyclone is an important area within this topic from where questions are often asked, right? So let's read the first statement. Statement says faster change in wind speed with height facilitates the development of tropical cyclones, right? This is not correct. In fact, change in wind speed with height is what is known as vertical wind shear, right? Change in wind speed with height is known as vertical wind shear, right? And an important condition for development of tropical cyclone is that this vertical wind shear has to be low. If it is high, it will prevent development of tropical cyclone, right? So let's first understand this and then we will come back to our question, right? So let's say this is ocean surface, right, where tropical cyclone has started to develop, right? So in the initial phase of development of tropical cyclone, what happens that air starts moving in a circular fashion, something like this, right? And this circular air, because of circular movement of air, it starts to rise, something like this, right? So along with its circular movement, convection also happens along the height, right? And once the air reaches up to certain height, the water vapor starts to condense, right? So at a particular height, the temperature becomes low enough to cause condensation of water vapor, right? And this condensation of water vapor releases heat, right? Because water vapor is getting condensed, so it has to release heat. This heat is basically entrapped in this region, the core region, right? And this is the heat which actually provides energy for development of cyclone. So because of this heat only, further convection occurs, right? And this process keeps on going and this adds to the development of cyclone, right? So it is the heat that is released from condensation of water vapor that facilitates the development of cyclone. Now let's say if there is vertical wind shear, high vertical wind shear, that means there is high movement of wind along height, right? So if there is very high vertical wind movement, right? That means vertical wind is moving with a very high speed. What it will do? It will basically take away the heat that is being released from the condensation, right? So along with the vertical moving wind, this heat will be gone, and it will also take away the moisture, right? So it will take away the heat as well as moisture, right? So that means the development of cyclone will be get hampered, right? So the first statement says faster change in wind speed with height facilitates not. This is not correct. It will in fact hamper the development of tropical cyclone, right? Second statement, energy from the condensation process in the towering cumulonimbus clouds helps intensify the tropical cyclone. This is correct. We have seen just now that energy that is coming from condensation process, that means the energy that is coming from the formation of cloud, is basically what is providing energy for the process of development of cyclone, right? So this is what the second statement is saying, energy from condensation process helps intensify the tropical cyclone. This is correct. So that means the correct answer here is D. First statement is not correct, but statement 2 is correct, right? So with this we have come to the end of our discussion. I hope you find this discussion useful and it helps in your preparation. I wish you all the very best for your upcoming examination. Thank you very much.